Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Anthony Joshua recently was on Sky Sports, and obviously we know his next fight is reported to be Oleksandr Usyk. We're just waiting on an announcement for that fight, looking likely the end of September. He was asked in that, does he see a danger, does he see a perceived threat from Usyk? And short and sweet, he said, none. It's nothing that he's not seen before. So AJ is definitely appearing to have full of confidence going into this fight, and so he should, I mean, like, if he was coming around saying, it's a 50-50 fight, you'd be really worried. I wonder, is this Anthony Joshua, I'm just going to say this here, is it him trying to maybe convince himself that this is going to be an easy fight, knowing deep down, because deep down I think AJ must know this fight's a tricky fight, that with Usyk, it is a style that he wouldn't have seen before, that Usyk is a mover. He throws a lot of punches. Not necessarily the biggest puncher heavyweight, but he's a stinging puncher heavyweight nonetheless. What I mean by that is that he will get your respect. Make no mistake about that. He was able to get there with Chisora's respect. I think that Anthony Joshua, although against Pulev, he did look better than he looked in the Andy Ruiz rematch. And what I mean by that is, with the Ruiz rematch, the jitters were still there. Although AJ was able to keep it long, he was able to box very well and was able to keep Ruiz away from him. Whenever Ruiz did get close, like in the 8th round, you did see Anthony Joshua just have them little moments where he was just like, take a step back. You could see that little bit of worry there. Now, as I said, against Pulev, he definitely showed to have improved in that sense, that the jitters weren't there. He still didn't look quite his old self, but he definitely showed some improvements there. I don't think... This is just me personally. Now, if you want to agree, fine. If you want to disagree, fine. I don't think AJ has fully 100% recovered mentally from the first Andy Ruiz loss. I think that there's still those few little demons there in the back of his mind. And I think that maybe with Anthony Joshua, it's just try and be kind of dismissive of the opponent, irrespective of who it is. I heard him say things about Deontay Wilder as well. Because maybe it's kind of for him just to kind of get it drilled into his psyche that these fights are gonna, I'm superior, I'm the superior fighter, I'm the superior athlete, I'm the superior boxer to all these guys. There's nothing they can show me that I don't already know, and I'm gonna go in there and do a job. Obviously, as I said, with Oleksandr Usyk is, he's very, very, this is going to be a tricky fight for Anthony Joshua, make no mistake about that. I've seen some people say that AJ should rush Usyk, should just go for the jugular straight away. I disagree with that. I don't think that should be AJ's game plan. I think that AJ, in this fight, he should look at what he should, not even look at the Ruiz rematch. Look at the fight that he had against Alexander Povetkin, where he was, one thing people fail to notice in that Povetkin fight was the jab, specifically the jab to the body that he was throwing at Alexander Povetkin. That jab to the body was bothering Povetkin. Alright? And Povetkin, although, yes, it's a different style. Yes, he was older than Usyk. I think Povetkin had seen better days even then. But still, the jab to the body was able to nullify Povetkin, was able to make him more stationary. Now with Usyk, what is his biggest, or one of his biggest attributes of heavyweight? His footwork, his mobility, his volume, and his stamina. Now, if AJ is able, because AJ's jab is good, if he's able to get a good hard jab going on Usyk, keep his hand down low, make Usyk think, that's one of the benefits. It's one of the benefits of having your hand down low, like having your jab and hand down low, is it does offset the opponent, because they have to wonder where that jab is coming from, and they have to wonder, is that jab going to set up a right, or is the right hand going to come straight? You can hook off the low left hand, which is also something that a lot of fighters do. There's benefits and negatives to it. There's benefits and negatives to most things in boxing, to be fair, with a certain style. But against Usyk, I think that might benefit Anthony Joshua. As I said, Usyk's style is very different to anyone Anthony Joshua would have really faced. He's a mover. He will be looking to land that straight left, be looking to counter with that left. If you go and look at Joe Joyce, what Joe Joyce did when they fought in the World Series of Boxing, that was several years ago. It was a while ago. But still, if you look at Joe Joyce, you'd say he's similar in a sense to Anthony Joshua. Look what Usyk was able to do back then. Although that was a much greener Joe Joyce, much younger Joe Joyce, a lot of inexperience, you still see bits of AJ in that. You still see things that Usyk could do. As I said, if AJ went for the jugular straight away, I don't see that going too well. I think Usyk's movement, I think that Usyk has a very good defense. People keep talking about this fight in a sense that, well, Anthony Joshua could be losing. I think it was Tony Bellew said it as well, that AJ could be losing this fight on points, but all it will take is one shot. Well, it is heavyweight boxing at the end of the day. Anything can happen. But I definitely think that Oleksandr Usyk, there's two things. One, he is cute enough, I reckon, unless he gets completely lackadaisical, he's cute enough, I reckon, to stay out of the way of the massive AJ shots. And second of all, even if he does get caught by a good shot from AJ, he's very good at riding the shots. He's very good at taking a bit of the sting out of them. And last but not least, he's been in there with big punchers at cruiserweight. Right? Say whatever you want to say about heavyweights, but Murat Gassiev, I think it was the third round, landed a beautiful straight right hand on Oleksandr Usyk. And Murat Gassiev, one of the hardest punchers at cruiserweight in the last few years, definitely, and still a massive puncher at heavyweight. And the more I think about Gassiev at heavyweight, the more I think he's going to do some work here. I just hope he get back out soon. But Usyk was able to take that specific right hand. Now, to be fair, Gassiev's best punch is his left hook. That's his most powerful shot. That didn't land on Usyk full power at all that night. But nevertheless, the straight right hand that went in the third round from Murat Gassiev did land on Oleksandr Usyk, and he took that shot fairly well. I've never seen Usyk stumbled, wobbled, anything like that. I've seen him uncomfy in fights like against Chisora, where Chisora really just bullied Usyk early on in that fight. What I mean by bullied him was he just went full blown aggressive. Usyk was kind of taken by surprise, I think. Once he acclimatized to it and Chisora slowed down, he was good to go, and he won, if not 8 or 9 rounds in that fight easily. Did Oleksandr. It was not close. Don't know how people, Harley Quinn thinks Chisora won. Of course he does. He was shouting instructions from a ringside. He may as well have been a trainer. But think of it like this: well, Chisora was able to knock down Joseph Parker, and what do we always say about Joseph Parker? He's got a good chin. Well, he never came close to dropping Usyk. So for me, this fight is, when AJ says he's nothing to fear and that you've seen it before, I think that is maybe AJ trying to convince himself, maybe on a subconscious level, that this fight's going to be easier than it is. I'm sure he knows deep down that Usyk poses a lot of different challenges. It's going to be a very, very tricky fight. I will pick AJ to win. I think that undisputed with AJ Fury that's what everyone wants, and I think that irrespective of how good Usyk does, I don't think we'll see a knockout in this fight. Call me crazy, but I don't think we will. I think AJ will win it on points. I think even if AJ doesn't deserve it, he'll get the decision. We've seen him get favourable treatment in the past. We've seen him get, like the Parker fight. Although he won that fight legitimately, AJ did. Parker won more rounds than I think the one round all the judges gave him. He won more rounds than that. He won at least 3 or 4 rounds in there. So I think, and look at Klitschko. I mean, Jesus, people, I had Klitschko well ahead at the time of the stoppage. I think 2 of the judges had AJ ahead. One of them had him miles ahead. I couldn't, for the life of me, see that. I thought Klitschko was comfortably ahead in that fight. And one judge had Klitschko winning, but the other had JJ winning. So AJ's always going to get that. It's just the way it is. So I think that AJ will win this fight. He may very well deserve to win. He may not, who knows. But I just can't see them not giving this to AJ. And again, like people keep saying, I see a lot of people say that, why is AJ fighting Usyk? AJ, this is an easy win for AJ. Usyk's terrible. He struggled with Chisora. Well, as I said, what is your perspective on Usyk as a heavyweight? Are you someone who thinks that Usyk should be just blowing through guys at heavyweight? Because he didn't do that at cruiserweight. He outboxed him, he outfinessed him. He was, very good at cruiserweight, but he wasn't blowing guys, out of the water, left, right, and centre. He wasn't going in there and, going in, putting a beating on these guys. No, he was out skilling them. So at heavyweight, what I've seen so far, again, he was out of the ring a year in the first fight against Witherspoon, coming off injuries. So he didn't look amazing, but he didn't lose a round. And then against Chisora, he needed to acclimatise to, but once he acclimatised to what Chisora was doing, he comfortably outboxed him, and he done a much better job than Joseph Parker, Dylan White. Even though Dylan White stopped him, he still had a lot of trouble in both fights. Who else? Hellenius, and Chisora definitely won that fight, just didn't get the decision. The only people who've done a better job are Klitschko and Fury. So I think that a lot of people maybe read too much into maybe they over expected what Usyk could do. Maybe they thought, he's going to do this, and when he didn't, they're thinking, oh, he's no good. And again, like people saying, this is an easy fight for AJ, and Usyk is garbage. Well, if you think Usyk is garbage and this is an easy fight for AJ, you better hope AJ wins this fight comfortably, right? Because if AJ goes in there and he struggles, and then you say, oh, it's a great win for AJ. Well, you said that this was an easy fight and that AJ would blow him out of the water, and it wasn't an easy fight and he struggled. So why are you saying, that sort of way? Like it's like when you discredit the opponent, right? You really shouldn't. People always do it. They've done it in other sports as well. When you say like the opponent is this, the opponent is that, and then he goes in there and beats him, and then you say, oh, that's a great win, isn't it? Well, how was it a great win when just before you were saying the opponent wasn't any good? It's not just AJ. It's happened in boxing. It happens in other sports as well. Like you see it with loads of other sports. Like I remember in F1 years ago when Lewis Hamilton was racing Nico Rosberg. People used to always, and actually it was the year Rosberg beat Hamilton. People were always saying, oh, Rosberg's garbage, he's this, he's that, and then like Hamilton would like win a race with Rosberg second. Oh, isn't Hamilton just amazing? Look how he beat Rosberg. It's like, well, shouldn't he be doing that anyway if Rosberg's so bad? I remember that. It's always been the way, but in any sport really. But I think that's something I just need to throw in there. Again, back to this fight, I think that Usyk is very dangerous. I really can't get that feeling out of my head that AJ or Fury, one of them's going to slip up. Now, I personally, if I had to pick an upset, and that's what they're called, upsets, I would say Usyk beating AJ, because it just seems, I just can't get my head around Wilder beating Fury. I just can't do it. Not that I can't do it, I'm sure he could, but with everything that's gone on, I just can't see it. I can see Usyk beating AJ more. Like if someone said to me, oh, Fury's going to beat Wilder, someone had a time machine, they said if Fury beat Wilder, he stopped him in 8 rounds. Alright, but Usyk, he beat AJ on a close decision. I'd be like, yeah, I could see that. No problem. The other way around, AJ beating Usyk and Wilder, I could, but I just don't see it. But I'm definitely of the mindset, I've been saying this since the start, that one of these guys, there's a good chance they'll slip up. Because that's just, heavyweight boxing is known for those kind of things. There's always, you see the end of the line, you see the two guys, they're running towards that finish line, and someone chucks a bit of oil on the track or a banana skin, and one of them falls to the last hurdle. I just can't get that high on my head. I just think it's going to be one of them. I don't know which one. Like I said, if I had to put money on it, I would say AJ against Usyk is where the upset's going to be, but stranger things have happened. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think of AJ saying that, there's nothing that's seen that Usyk does that he's not already seeing? You agree or do you disagree? Do you look at someone like Oleksandr Savon, who fought AJ in the amateurs? Oleksandr Savon is a very good amateur, but he is different to Usyk. He's a very good amateur, Oleksandr Savon. Excellent amateur. Beat guys like Lawrence O'Connell and everyone in the amateurs, but I'm going to end this here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. If you want to hit the notification bell, help your boy out, you could do that as well. #GMAS rocks, all that good stuff. Lads, for now, I'll talk to you. Peace.